guys, today I want to dedicate a whole entire video on how I plant succulents on driftwood. We've done a few videos in the past where I've done this, but it hasn't been like the focus of the video. The most recent was our terrarium planter. I had a piece of driftwood in there that I added some succulents to. We've done succulents on a rock along with air plants. And then actually our Facebook cover photo right now, it's a piece of driftwood with succulents on it. So since it hasn't been the focus, we haven't really touched a lot on how I do it or how long it lasts, how to take care of it, all that stuff. And we get tons of questions about it. So today I'm going to show you what I do. All right, so let me show you everything that I use for this. First of all, you have to have your rock or your piece of driftwood or whatever you're using as your base. And then you need sphagnum moss. Sometimes it's called green moss. It's the best kind of moss to use for this stuff because it retains moisture long enough for the succulents to suck it up, but then it dries out quickly. The other thing you need is some glue. Some people use tacky gel glue or hot glue. I only use hot glue in this project. I'll show you why later. And then you want a variety of succulent cuttings. I've got some echeveria and graptiveria, some kalanchoe, really pretty ones. Some scissors, helpful to have around, and then water bottle for watering. Okay, so the first thing I'm gonna do is glue my moss on, and I'm gonna make sure to get a 1/4 to a 1/2 inch layer on my piece of wood. You can use tacky gel glue for this part, like I said. The reason why I don't like to use it is because it takes forever to dry, and I don't like to wait that long. And for the moss section, like the moss part of this project, it doesn't really matter. So I'm gonna do that quick. Okay, so I've got a nice layer of moss attached onto my piece of wood, and so now I get to start attaching succulents. I actually took cuttings, 2 days ago, so they've had a good chance to dry and callus on the cut ends. You don't have to do that. The difference is that I can start watering mine right away, right after I get done attaching everything on. If you don't wait for your succulent cuttings to callus, then you'll want to wait about a week before you water for the first time. And that's the only difference. Okay, so to attach your succulents on, this is the part that I think people get the most freaked out about. I use hot glue. The glue does not hurt them, whether or not it's super hot or cool. It does not hurt your succulent cuttings. They will still root into the moss right around the glue. But I do, after I dot my glue on, I wait for it to cool a little bit. So I put it on, it's super hot, I wait a few seconds, and then it kind of cools down to that tacky consistency, and that's when I'll push my succulent cuttings on. Doesn't hurt them one bit. You'll just want to make sure your cutting is nested really well down into the moss because you want to give it something to root into. A little dab of glue, and then we'll wait just a few seconds. And we'll just push the succulent cutting right into that glue. Nest it really well down into that moss. Okay, and then I'm gonna wait just a couple seconds before I keep going, and I'll do that. I'll pause in between each cutting so that I make sure it's dried. So I make sure it's dried really fast so that if I bump into it, it's not gonna dislodge it anywhere. I'm gonna use this graptiveria next. Little dab of glue. Wait a little bit. All right, here we go. Okay, so I'm just gonna keep doing that until I have my piece done. Okay, so once you have all your succulents attached, you're pretty much done. So now it's just maintenance mode. Like I said, if you let your succulent cuttings callus, you can water it right away. I use a spray bottle or my syringe to water, and what I do is I just get in really close, trying not to mist onto the actual succulents because you don't want water to be collecting in the crown. Not good for them. So you just get in there and you just mist the heck out of it until all of the moss is saturated. And if you've got this on a surface that you want to protect, I would probably do this in the sink or put it into a saucer so that the water that runs out of the moss has somewhere to go. And if you didn't let them callus before you did the project, make sure to not to do this step until about a week later. And then you can start watering it. So I'm gonna be putting this in a bright sunny spot in my house that gets approximately like 4 to 6 hours of sunlight, and I'll water it about once a week. And that's pretty much it. So like I said, this is not a long-term project. It'll only last a few months. So what will happen is these succulents will start to produce roots in a few weeks to up to 2 months. Every variety is a little bit different. So they'll just sit there and look pretty for a few months while they're producing roots and starting to root into that moss. And then after that, they may start to put on a little bit of growth, and then you'll know when it gets to a point where, hey, these succulents are getting a little bit too big for this piece of driftwood and it's time to replant them. At that point, you can use a butter knife or something that's got a little bit of a sharp edge, and you can get in there and just kind of gently scrape them off the piece of wood and then replant them in soil. But I'm gonna show you that. So what we're planning on doing is we'll do kind of a midway update when they start to root in, so you guys can see how they look. Now, not all the time do you have 100% success with a project like this. It is risky when you take cuttings because 9 out of 10 times they survive, but there is that 10% chance or less that they won't survive. So we'll show you. I'll show you about midway when they start to root to show you how they are looking, if they're doing well or not. And then toward the end, when it's time for them to come off, I'll show you how to remove them and how to replant them. So right now it's late January 2016. So if you are watching this video in the future, you can watch the update ones right up here, or we will put the links in the description below. I hope this answered your questions on how we put together arrangements like this. If you have any other questions, please make sure to comment below. And if you do give this project a try, I would love to see pictures. So post them on our Facebook page. And that's it. So we will see you guys in the next video. Bye.